Okay, so I got about 7 minutes into this. I need to... I need to react to this, right? And I gotta also cut out those types of moments because it just takes too long. Let's move me up here so we're not blocking him. Also, this is all bullshit so far. So I'm 7 minutes in and it's bullshit. And I guess I should go do Winnie Blue's video too. But I have a video coming out that's gonna explain why all this is bullshit more. But I'm just gonna call out I'm gonna fact check real quick is basically what I'm about to do. Because he's just dumb, and I'm so tired of this because it's so obnoxious, actually, in so many different levels. And I can fact-check it with things that I've already said in my videos before he said his things in his videos 3-4 months ago, because I'm fucking smarter than he is. And anybody who's still listening to these people, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. No, Lord. But yeah, so we're just gonna...
Okay.
Rewind.
Let's start. I'm gonna upload this on the YouTube highlight channel. It's gonna be a highlight, no editing. If you want to listen to the full thing, I strongly advise, and then not first day zeals. And at the time, I didn't really think about it much. I just gave him an answer, maybe back, and then you can max it out to 1650, right? So you had a 20 eye level difference, and if they had an Esther weapon, if they had
actually, can I be honest, this is all bullshit at the beginning. First off, Esther weapon's not anything to be talked about with the average. There's just no point in talking about that. There's no point in talking about Esther weapon even for the elite, because I think the elite of the elites have Esther weapons, right? So it's just, everything there is dumb.
Everyone. We're just talking about specs. There's a 5 to 20. What? Before I...
The damage difference doesn't matter. If this was funny. Let's say, this is what's so funny about people. I love you all. I love you all, but this is why I'm scared for humanity. So he asked all of you to give a damage disparage that you believed existed, which was 5 to 12% between the two people for what we're trying to accomplish. At the same time, right? So, i.e. them doing theming when they did theming versus when we did it in the West, right? The differences in our versions of the game, essentially. So, Behemoth, it was more extreme because Behemoth got brought down to 1620, right? So, he's asking you guys to give that, and this is why I think this is so funny, is that if you guys can't give a number that is more than 30 or 33%, then they nerfed it fundamentally. They nerfed it more than you needed.
Are we gonna talk about two?
You know, the irony is he shits on some Reddit posters on here, but then he was that guy on Reddit talking to himself or something, or arguing with his friends through like a proxy account. Please, people, please hit subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. Stop it. Stop listening to these people. I'm sorry I don't make more content, but then you need to be more patient because I have a life that I have to attend to, right? So, especially right now, things are not going super smooth for me, so I have to actually deal with a lot of shit. But yeah, so. Reality is, fuck this dude. He's so wrong and so funny. We all are so stupid.
That's where we're headed.
Works.
Because somebody asked.
Oh wait. What?
That's where we're headed. Well, okay.
You don't know where we're heading. You stupid.
Does this mean the raid is easy? Now, I don't want to...
It was easy. Oh, I love this part where let's just fast forward.
This one...
He goes...
I have full receipts.
He goes, full receipts. Full receipts. He goes, I warned you. I guess the receipts must be like full evidence or full proof. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that's what it means. But he goes, warned you about Echidna. Warned you about Behemoth. Warned what? Warned what? Warned what? Because I warned before you warned that the content was irrelevant, and essentially what you're listing and depicting here is that it is irrelevant. Is that it's filler content, that it's quick, sideways, subjective content, more horizontal rather than linear, because more horizontal allows people to have to sit in this period for a longer period of time, eye level wise, to get caught up to each other. So eye level actually matters the least in a lot of ways. But y'all are pushing for 1680 and all this other crazy shit. You're just dumb. You're just dumb. And then you're influencing stupidity in other people too. And I'm not saying you shouldn't push them. So I don't want, because, again, future videos. But the reality of it is, you're dumb. You're fucking dumb.
That Echidna will be difficult in the West.
The raids weren't difficult. Thamine had the data for Thamine was what, it was 4 weeks out. That was what that chart was, right? And it was like, come on, it was like less than 1% of the population that cleared it. That's difficult. These pieces of content were difficult. As a matter of fact, my Discord was filled with people who are 1620s who weren't, and that's the thing too. So he says later something about 1620s, and he says that they don't have elixirs and they don't have trans. And I want to make it perfectly clear that I said to everybody in my videos that what you would be working on if you got to 1620 or were getting to 1610 or getting to 1600 would be your purple elixirs. Huge W with the purple elixirs turning to legendaries too, by the way. Didn't see that coming. Ended up being wrong about that. So if it's fair, I'll tell you where I was wrong as well, right? But didn't see that coming. That's a huge W though. So that actually even helps this too, which is funnier. But that aside, the free shit aside, literally the handouts, you shouldn't have gone in 1620 without elixir and or trans. That's not possible. It's not possible. If you follow what I was telling you to do, that's not possible. You played the game for the time you played the game. We had a year to do everything you had to do, and you somehow still came up short. Well, I'm here to tell you that I put no playtime in over the last 9 months. I'm not even kidding either. I've put no playtime in. Okay, I had like 100 hours. In the last 9 months. I have a video 9 months ago where it's less than this, and it would actually have been 10 months ago because I record videos like a month past, right? And I can prove that now because I'm usually looking at somebody else's videos with a date. But the point is, the reason I'm saying this is that I got 3 characters ready for free too. Mostly event materials. I'm not even kidding. So what's your excuse? That's insane. So no. So if you got the 1620, you got there with the stuff that you needed, and it was enough to do Echidna. It was enough to do Behemoth. It was enough to do everything. You're fine. Stop the cap. Is it more difficult? Yes, but then we have to equate it to other difficult, and other difficult that we have to equate it to is Thamine. Before that, Brel, which is also a really hard raid when it was released, and Clown. Probably one of the hardest raids on release. So in my personal opinion, or even Vikings was kind of tough on release, I'm not gonna lie. But in my personal opinion, I think Thamine takes the cake, right? So that already knocks it down 1. And then I would say that Brow was nobody did 1-6. People stopped doing 1-6s because that shit was bullshit. So yeah, no. I mean, good team. I'm sure good teams actually did 1-6 every single week, but I was never in a team that was good enough to consistently complete it. 6, 5, and 6 were always brutal, and not because we couldn't clear it, but because it would just take so long that it just didn't feel worth it. But cross that for a second. The reality of it is this guy's dumb again. Like, so think about what I just said and now compare it to the point that he makes about these pieces of content being easier, or harder, right? As well. And they're not. They're easy. They were easy for us as well. They were easy in both regions. Gatekeeping, I'm going to side with him. Gatekeeping's an issue, but gatekeeping is a mentality issue. It's the player base, so I was happy when he didn't blame Smile, Gator, AGS for that because it's not really their fault. Your shit mentality. And he brags about it. He's like, I made a video. I made a video telling everyone that the gatekeeping would be bad. Yeah, well, you probably caused it, to be completely honest. Instead of trying to make a video like what Saint did in the past, which demonstrates how you don't need this and you can clear perfectly fine and quickly. But no, you're a whale, so you wanted to show that it could be cleared quickly if you buy all this stuff. And that's where he goes later with this video, I've heard. But
it is mechanically, if you can do these raids, you can do it, but the problem is lack of power and damage taken, right? Not for every 1620, but what am I talking about? In the West, you guys call it the rat 1620s. In Korea, we call it the aluminium in Korea. Like, I made 3 minutes that...
And I will be completely clear. I want to make my stance clear on this. If you are a 1620 with 0 trans and 0 elixir, and you've had elixir for 20 eye level, which are it's a harder eye level to push than the first 10 eye level, right? You are kind of a rat, by definition. And I've never used that word. I would never use it, but that's the truth. Like, you have the ability to earn something on a character, and you're not earning it on the character, you are ratting. Even if you have dummy ones, like just shit ones for stat, or something, like just whatever you have, that's better than nothing. If you have legit 0 trans, 0 elixirs, yeah, you're scumming it. You are. At least gotta have a 35 set. Because a 35 set's not that bad. Especially now that everything's gold, legendaries, and free, and you can do it in solo. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. You can do it in solo. He's like, it's his rat. Because you can do it in solo. Y'all just don't get the game. Y'all don't get the game, and I need to explain it again and again and again. Because y'all are fucking dumb.
At on eye level 1620, right? I even have Where's my little
It's
baby?
obnoxious at this
No
point.
transcendence, no elixir. Jills was gonna.
Yeah, this is kind of cringe. I mean, I see it's an artist though, isn't it? No, it's an aromancer, so yeah, no pass. And actually, wait, don't we see an elixir right there?
Get gay kept. True.
Go away.
I think it's mostly on small gay, but who can send us an elixir?
Yeah. If you're ever blaming the devs anytime soon, I'm just gonna say you're an idiot because the game's perfect. The game's perfect. Y'all are just confused. Y'all are confused because you're listening to misinformation. That's what this essentially is, and I'm gonna call it like that. And I'm not one of those people who's like, let's censor it, but like I kind of wish I could censor it, and that's horrible because listen, I'm like so free speech, but at the same time, people like him, oh, I feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for him. He's winning. He's Wing off of your stupidity.
And guess what?
Listen to the guy who's not Wing.
Guess
off
what?
of your stupidity.
You guys are experiencing what I'm about to tell you.
Like he can't even say it without smiling.
You guys, look at right now. That's
him.
yes. These 3 raids are being cleared day 1, and people, even in Korea, I have evidence to back this up.
Again, because it's horizontal.
Watch streamers, their favorite big time streamers, whether it's Captain Jack or whoever, and they're like, oh, if Captain Jack can clear it in 3 hours, which some of these raids were cleared in 3 hours after release, right? They're like, oh, that means my butt can get over there and clear it first day, right? And then they spread it even in general chat as a 1640. They can't even enter these raids, by the way. We're talking about hard mode. By the way, we're talking about hard mode, right? Behemoth doesn't have a hard mode, but Aegir hard mode and Ekina hard mode, okay? So these guys are saying, oh, my favorite streamer, Captain Jack, cleared in 3 hours. So my 1640 can't even enter the raid, by the way. I can do it in day 1 too. What's so hard? This game is too easy. The Koreans are saying that in general chat. In general chat in major cities. 1640 people saying the game.
Okay, I don't have a choice but to say something here now while he's doing this, because someone's going to figure it out if I take too long. I was going to make a whole nother video, and I'm still going to talk about this in the other video. I'll probably just talk about it more, but even just based on looking at this, 1710 is going to be the perfect alt parking spot, and you're probably going to push your mains to 1730. If you're at the top end of the game still. I want to note that I'm predicting this the same way I predicted everything else, that the distance between 1640 and 1660 is actually, even though it feels like a big distance, the natural farmable distance if you play the time, and the distance between 1640 and 1680 is the same if you play the natural farmable time by the time you'll need it for the next content. Trust me on this. And then you would want to make your massive push or spike towards 1710 or 1730 on a main character or on an alt. And that'll be maximizing your farm rates for whatever the next year is to bring and getting the better content, because Agar is not actually what you care about. I can't say all that there. You know what's scary is he talks about how the majority of the players around here, and this is what I said before about the average and how well, we have like a pseudo-elite population, and that's what needs to end, is that we need to stop the elitism. Because genuinely, like, this doesn't matter. Right? This is for entertainment. This is to show off. This does matter. I can't say there's no value in this. If you can get 6 of your characters to 1680, that's best value for the account. Genuinely. It always will be. But we also all know how hard that is. So it's not about getting the best value out of the next release of content. It's about getting the best value out of the longest standing release of content. So the reason why Akan was the best was because you got value out of the materials for a long period of time. It's the same thing in tier 4. So you're not going to get a lot of value out of the materials during a period when it first gets released, similar to like what we had at Con. So, but this is being stretched apart and broken in a different way that you're not seeing it the same, because it's no longer linear content, it's horizontal content. And I don't know how to explain that without a diagram or something, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep reacting to this. But yeah, like, there's so much to be said here, and he doesn't get it. But the reality is that players should have stayed in. I'm only doing this for light. Legit, though. Try to get the camera to focus. There we go. It works.
We'll be having it as easy as these.
But yeah, basically, like, he points out the average, and that's really important because what that should be telling everybody is that they're going to be playing or basing most of the game off of this concept, and that's what. There's so much to be said. Don't listen to this guy, man.
These characters
Okay, so this kind of bothers me,
split the game if
to be completely honest with you, because he said that the balance patch should have been last month, but you don't know how to balance something until you release it sometimes. So they needed to release the content for you so they could see how you interacted with it to then see that characters needed to be balanced around it. I mean, I can't say it simpler than that. You really don't understand anything. You don't. You just want everyone to be perfect, and that's kind of how my friends are sometimes when they talk about Sony. They should just be perfect. They should be human. They're not. You can't dehumanize them because they're not human. They make human mistakes. That makes them have a humanist quality that can be dehumanized. The fact that that has to be argued is insane. And I know that's off track for anybody who's looking at this point right now, but it's contextual for people in the Discord for me. But but yeah. So this let's play.
Aegis doesn't intervene, right?
So again, I just want to point out this is how stupid this guy is. So he's calling the rat alts things with the elixirs and event gems and all that stuff. But can I be completely real with you? The difference between 7s and 8s, which is what the event gems would be, but 7s, 8s, and 9s is marginal. It's like 2%, 3%, 4%, somewhere in that range, like maybe even 5% max. Whereas the difference between the 9 and the 10 is that, big gap most of the time. So the fact, like, he's just dumb. He's dumb. So you have to remember that gems are multiplicative just like everything else. So now that you have Transcendence and Elixir and all these other systems added in, the level 7s actually just have better value. Like, they don't get scaling. They have no idea what they're talking about. He's stupid. So he's calling it a divide in the community, but he just doesn't understand the developer's direction. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. He thinks this is bad, and unfortunately, because of his shit feedback, he's going to get exactly what he wants. And the worst part is I'm now realizing why, and why he put business model and stuff. He's a whale. He wants the game to stay like this because it's what keeps him at the top. He does not want the system that's coming up. He doesn't want his Esther weapon to mean nothing. You guys don't get this. This kid's playing you guys. He's playing you. This is some dishonest ass shit, man. That's all they've ever given you guys is dishonesty. And you guys just keep buying this fucking load of garbage. Crazy, man.
Go in there and
You just called it an experimental raid. That's so funny, because didn't I say that too? I said that like almost a year and a half, 2 years ago now. I called Behemoth a test raid or something like that. I'm lying. It's not 2 years. It was like more like a year and like 3 months or some shit. But yeah, I called it a test raid. It's like fucking stuff. I gotta be honest, I'm having a hard time even keeping context here. I guess what he's trying to say is, I think he's going down the path to say that this guy's like embezzling it or something, or getting paid too much, or something along that lines. Learning that 70%...
What?
Okay, this bothers me even more. So of all the directions I thought he could have gone corrupt-wise, he didn't even go corrupt-wise. He goes because the business model is working. Yeah, that's the point. But it's because they're listening to people like you that it's working so well. You guys are pushing for something you don't have to push for. You could still clear day one. You could still clear day one. I've cleared day one on some pieces of content. You can still clear day one if you have a team that can do it. You suck. I gotta say it, like, honestly, it's what it comes down to, man. I'd love to see you on an account that doesn't have any world progression, or a character that doesn't. It'd be interesting. Like, I don't think you're that good of a player. I think that's the problem. But that aside, I think more or less the issue is that this is hilarious. You're mad that it's working and that he's making money, or that they're making money. Okay, now he's just full off the rails. And I love it too, because he says, stay with me, I'm cooking. Yeah, you're cooking, fucker, you burnt it. You cooked too much. But so he's saying it's to increase the paywall. No, this is not what they're doing. They want to maintain a player base because they know that you whales, the people who are supporting the game, and I've said this for the longest time. It's so crazy that it took this for him to figure it out. Like, remember, it took them an investigation to figure this out. I figured it out fucking a year ago with some basic data. God, y'all are dumb. Y'all are so dumb. Fucking hurts. It hurts. You're so stupid. You're so fucking stupid. But anyways, paywall. Increase the paywall. They're trying to increase the player base to keep the paywall. And yeah, of course they want to make more money. I'm not even going to rule that out. But you're thinking that they're going to give you item level chase. And that's actually not what's going to happen. If you've been listening to my advice and listening to me, you'll see that they're changing the direction of the game in that regard. And that's fine, because I got another video coming out on that as well. So... You just can't keep up. You can't keep up. Zeals, how about you just endorse me at this point? I think you guys' best moves at this moment would just be shout me out every fucking day and endorse me at this moment, because I'll do it for you. How's that sound? You could just react to my shit. You know what I'm saying? Your shit's garbage. I'm sorry. Like, this is trash. And how much time did you put into this? That's what's sad. How do you put this much effort into making points that are this bad, unless, one, you're dumb or you're dishonest? And I think you're dishonest. I think that this has a side agenda. And I think it's because you're a whale. And you don't want the game to become more average friendly, because you then lose your value as a whale. So you're pointing it out, hoping that it'll, I don't know, make people quit. Okay, what change do you expect to come of this? Like, what? Oh, boy. Okay, do you know why this hurts so much, too? He's like, we're going to keep milking, I'm going to keep milking, I'm going to keep milking. Can I ask you a question? At the end of the day, who has to click the purchase button? They have way more money than they need to continue development, right? So back to your original point about how you're funding them, basically, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I feel so bad for you, but I feel bad for humanity too. What a waste. But back to your point, they only need, if I'm being honest, to run the game for a year and continue development, maybe 200,000. I'm being really humble right there. Because actually, you really only need 50, 60,000, but I don't know what their labor costs look like, or bot control and all that other stuff. So I'm going to say 100 to 200,000. I'll give them a good budget. You know what I mean? A good budget usually allows for extra room and get bonuses at the end of the year, whatever, right? Let's be real. But that being the case, you're overfunding them. So again, it's your decision. It's your choice. So they're whale taxing. Okay, let's say that's actually true. And, he's not actually wrong with horizontal build. I can't say much without ruining my next video, but actually he's not far off. Like, there is truth to some of what he's saying here, but that doesn't mean it is true. It just means there's some truth to it. But again, you make the decision. Don't purchase something. They're not forcing you to do it. You're choosing to do it. Your internal struggle to have to be at the top or the peak is what's forcing you to do it. And let's be completely fair. You're funded by a lot of donors and people. So if you're putting all of your value towards showing them a good showmanship, but you're still profiting at the end of the day, then what's the big deal? Because then they're also not just a profitable business model, they're making you profitable business models as well. Like, you're so dumb it hurts. And this is why I hate that they won't endorse me. And they won't endorse me because I'm an asshole. And that's the worst part. But I actually get the world way better than you fucking monkeys do. They just want me to be refined and toned down. I can't do that. I don't have the emotional control for that. I actually genuinely get into what I talk about. I hate this shit. I can't stand your dumbass having the ability to talk to this many fucking people within just a few fucking days and influence them towards horrible decisions. Reading your comments is one of the most depressing things I think I've ever done, because it shows the inability for anybody to critically think or question things that are said that come out of your fucking stupid mouth. It hurts.
And this is why.
Is this the only difference that we're going to point out here? It's not the 2 extra levels in tier 4 gems too. It's not that. It's not that he already has all levels to... Okay, no, so he finally just said it by my gear over his gear. And saying it like that makes it honest, right? So at least he's not full of shit. At least he's not trying to pretend it's just the eye level. But the reality of it is yeah, I can believe that. In the gems alone, we're going to say it's about 20% plus, right? Or 20, we'll say 25%, because of the new update with the gems. They automatically do more than what they did before, so we'll add that to the couple of percent from 9 and 8 from the other kid's gems, because he even had some 7s. The other kid had some 7s. And that's the thing too, the cooldowns. Like, look, he's got max cooldowns compared to the kid had 7s. But
Right?
okay, so I think one more final thing I guess I have to point out is that he's saying that you're at a 70 to 90% damage thing. First off, he's never actually saying a number, which is kind of concerning. Because at any moment during this, now the only thing that's important to us is him telling us how much damage he does. And I'm sure people can give me that information, which would be really useful. Because if the requirement to clear the content is 20 mil or 30 mil DPS per second, and he's doing 180 mil damage per second, it doesn't matter. That's my point. And I'm being really crazy with that number because I don't know the actual number, but the point is that if 70 to 90% less is still enough to clear, and more than enough to clear, then his point's irrelevant. But again, it comes back to that thing where the billionaire is getting paid by them. I don't know why you have a problem with it. That's why it hurts. It hurts. Like, these people's logic doesn't make any sense. Like, why do you have an issue with them making money? What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you people? Especially them. They're making money off them making money. That's insane. Ungrateful shits, man. But yeah, no, it's just, this is all bullshit. I can't believe how many people bought this. Also, another funny thing that he's pointing out right now is what I pointed out before. This kid's so delayed. Not all players can be diamond. Not all players can be masters. Not all players will, like, most players are gold. Right? That's the reality. You're an average player, and he's talking about normal raiders, and that's the problem, is that we always added, or they always added, this connotation of negativity towards being a casual player in a game that's an MMO. It's a massive multiplayer online game. It's supposed to be a world, a variety of things. We go ship sailing. We check pirate coins. We go to each other's strongholds. We interact in a way that brings us out of our experience from the real world, not makes us feel like we have to grind like we do in the real world. And that doesn't mean you remove the grind, it means you incorporate the grind in that world, so much so that you feel like you're in that world. RuneScape does a good job of it, and so does World of Warcraft. There's a lot of games that do a really good job of integrating that. You guys, the whales, you whales who are the problem, genuinely, set this elite tone, and then now finally you're attesting to it, which in a weird way, you're not really owning it, you're still blaming the game. You're saying it's about Smilegate's wallet. Like, the issue that I pointed out a long time ago is the same one that I'm going to say now, is that this game had too many pseudo-elite players, which were honestly caused by RMT for the most part, because there's a lot of people who would have been normie whales, which I call like flounders or like guppies, who spend $100 to $1,000 a year on a game. And I know that seems insane for a lot of people because there's complete free-to-play. You got free-to-play, you got a couple purchases, and then you got consistent purchasing, somebody who does like a budget for themselves to give themselves a couple $100 a year. And then you have, the person who goes guppy, about $1,000 a year. And then you have whales, which is anywhere above $1,000 a year. If you're spending more than $1,000 a year on a video game, it's a habit at that point because you're approaching $100 a month. Does that make sense? So, why I'm saying this is that you're giving them a hard time for one, making money, but then you're also trying to shame players who don't want to give them their money or give them too much money or spend on those reasons. Like, what do you want from this? You made the game a pseudo-elite game. Sorry, I got off track, but back to my point. RMTing. Essentially, a lot of people who should have just been regular whales in that copy range, they would have only been able to achieve if they did spend all their money on progression and not skins and stuff. And if they spent on skins, it would even detract from this. But let's say they spent it all on progression, they would never be able to accomplish what a player spending 10,000 would. Ever. Or as he put it, 100,000. It's insanity. Ever. And the fact that anybody thinks that that's equatable is kind of the issue, in all honesty. But now let's get more realistic, because that's also unrealistic on the other end of the spectrum. Nobody needs to spend that much. And I've proven in a lot of videos that you don't actually have to spend any money to be at the pinnacle of the players in this game. So I don't know why y'all still buy this garbage. Actually, though. You don't have to be at the beginning pinnacle. If you don't want to, you can be behind. But you also can be at the pinnacle if you choose to, just with the in-game systems. So, yes, you can't do 70 to 90% damage more, as he pointed out. But I think that that's what you deserve for $100,000. Because you know why, too? You know what scares me about his conversation here is that the Esther weapon is a long-term building thing, too. So that started back at, like, Brawl, right? Which means that would give you the most reward on an account. Having something like that actually has more value, and it does, literally, but it has more value damage-wise, or should, forever. Forever. You are always going to get a multiplicative effect with that. That's going to make you the baddest dude on the block compared to anybody who doesn't have it. It's just, you're stupid, and it sucks because so many people buy into this bullshit. But they make a lot of money off of players that aren't you. And that's why it hurts even more, is that, yeah, you are paying the billionaire, 100%. You're the reason he's rich, because you're dumb. Undoubtedly. Because you overspent. That's when, back to that point, right? To be what you wanted to be, which was super elite will, you maybe needed $1,000 a year. You spent 10, 20, 30,000 a year. I don't even know, dude. That's insane. And you don't care because you're rich, right? It's funny when these guys are like, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor. You spent 30 grand in a game. Who are you fooling? Who believes you at this point? Any of these guys? Who would believe you? I'm poor. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Spent the fucking car on a game. Spent the house on a game. Oh, man. But yeah.
Level hard mode rated protect.
You know, I would love to actually go through that list now and just look at the players that he's talking about on low on, because you can look at their website, right? And I'm willing to bet that a good portion of those players are free players or close to free to play players. And why it makes me laugh is it's just more proof that, like, you can make it. Do you have to be a little bit elite? Do you have to actually focus and funnel stuff? Yeah, but you can make it to the end game. And it's just, it hurts really bad when these guys think that you can't. I'll guarantee it, especially 1680. Do you know what I mean? I feel bad. They're always making it seem like you have to put money into this game, and you don't. You just don't. Here's what's bothering me, too. He called them wannabes, and this is what I'm saying. He doesn't get the game. You're just fucking dumb, dude. So remember, I talk about skipping certain updates in favor of other updates, right? So the best thing you could have done was not be ready for Behemoth, not be ready for all the garbage down here, and it would have actually been better to just have pushed your character later, because even they actually got stuff to help with Behemoth to give them more flowers, I think they're called. More flowers closer to the release of their content. So the reality of it is they should have waited, and they should have actually played the long game here too. They just didn't.
Relic access.
Wait, I gotta be real with you right now. He's saying kind of like what I would want him to say is, are we gonna keep up with this rat race? He's confusing me now, because actually at the very end of this video, I'm kind of liking where he's going with this, and it's the truth. It's like, why are you guys trying so hard? They're giving you events. They're giving you ways to get caught up. Why are y'all trying so hard to chase this? It just doesn't make any sense. It's all been horizontal sideways content. It's all been filler for a couple of years now. I told you guys this a year ago now. This is what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm not arguing with the Xena anymore. I blocked them because it's stupid. Because it's just stupid. It's stupid. It's filler content. You're giving me shit for not chasing something I told you I didn't want to chase a year ago. You're fucking dumb. You're dumb and you don't listen. So what's the fucking point? I actually like what he's saying here, because it's the truth. Like, why are you doing it? All of you. Okay, so again, I played about 100 hours in the last 9 months. I have played about 100 hours in the last 9 months. I have proof of it. It's coming out, in the next video, but it's just the truth. Like, I just flashed it in this video too. I have 5,300 hours. You can go look at my videos 9 months ago. I had 5,300 hours. Actually, even before that, if I'm being real. But yeah, so what would be eye level, right? And next week, Tier 4 comes out. It's Aegir, I think, is what we're getting, right? And then we get the Brawl later. And I believe it's 1660 and 1680, right? Those are the ranges that I have to get to. And in order to do that, I have to have some advanced honing and regular honing, if I'm correct, right? So it's extremely difficult to do from the gathering of it, right? I have the stuff to do it, for that good. I don't have the gold, but I have the stuff to do it. Transcendence, elixirs, right? All things I need. I can do that. And I just told you I haven't played in a year. What now? What's your reasoning and logic? I didn't spend any money. I didn't play at all. Never mind elite. Never mind a ton. So what's the catch? Like, am I missing something? Like, what? So I just want to say one last thing, I guess, to this too. If I don't see something else I want to respond to. He said the paywall is dramatically increased, and I guess I wanted to point out that, yes, it makes sense too. And it sucks that these people are too stupid to understand it, but if you remember the beginning of Lost Ark, the paywall was really high. And it's like that with mobile games when they first start out. And the paywall was also really high when we had Argos, and it's because when content starts to slow down and you have longer gaps between pieces of eye level, right? And they want you in a phase of that phase for a longer period of time. Inherently, what happens with that because there's a lot of catch-up mechanics at the bottom of that 50%, right, to catch up to the 50%. I hope that makes sense. Is that the 100% becomes larger, and because the 100% becomes so much larger because it's going horizontally with the game now, yes, you inherently have a larger paywall, but if you enjoy those systems up to the 50% more, and don't just rush through them like you are, you won't see that problem. And that's why it's so hard, is because it's just your mentality on the game. It's like you're paying for something that you're not getting anything out of, and you keep saying it and then doing it and then blaming the company for it. It's a sickness. It's like a real sickness. It's a real sickness. Like, I don't know how to help you, actually, because one, if you don't watch my shit, then you'll never get help. But two, you're sick, Zeals. You're sick. You're just genuinely sick. You're sick. You need help. And everybody who's listening to your bullshit, to be fair. That's hilarious. We need to slow down. I wonder who said that first. I wonder who said, like a year ago now, that they'd be releasing content slower and we were in for a rude awakening. Fuck, why? I just fucking, sometimes I just wish y'all would just give me the credit I deserve. Think about what you could do if you did. If you embraced the mentality, sold it with your buttered up fucking pandering asses ability to not be rude like me, right? Maybe we can make something out of it. Y'all are just dumb, though. It's so sad. Like, your main source of income was Lost Ark, buddy. I hope you don't think anybody's gonna watch you play anything else, because it's not gonna happen. It's just not. You'll keep a large portion of viewership, but I promise you'll take a hit. Lost Ark dies, you die. Straight up. And a good, like, portion of the rest of the community, too, all made their stance on Lost Ark. Even Stoops. It would be interesting to see how he did without it. Right. I don't think I've ever even seen him make a video for another game. Or no, he did. Didn't it do really bad? It was like Throwing Liberty. Oof. I will say I love that he points this out, because it's the truth. You're pretending to be a hard mode raider, and I said that for so long. Like, there's a lot of pseudo elites. And it happened because of the RMT thing. There's a lot of people that wouldn't have been... Oh, that's what I was saying earlier, and I forgot. Oof. But you wouldn't have been able to buy what you were able to buy. There's a lot of whales that should have only been able to get X amount of the way up, but instead they got X amount RMT way up. So they got it multiplied by RMT value. So instead of getting $1,000 worth of value, they got like $3,000 or $4,000 worth of value. And that's my point, is that we had a weird pool of players. So, like, back to that chart, what do we have, 42, 47, so I don't forget. Back to Homie's chart, because it's a really good chart. Right, so back to this.
How fast do you think you can expand?
To be a wannabe.
But anyways, back to this concept. It's 100% the truth. So in this chart, they have a more natural thing. This is probably the $1,000 players. Or actually, can I be honest with you? This is the $1,000 players. He thinks that these people are whales. They're probably not. That's what I'm saying. These are the elites and the grinders. So the elites and the grinders, and there's probably some pseudo whales in here, right? Like, but not as much as you think, man. Less than $1,000 a year. I'll put money on it. But like, anyways, so what actually happened, though, in our population, where RMTing was a really big issue in our community, and I'm sure it was in theirs, too, to agree. I don't know how much bot RMT they had, but anyways, it doesn't matter. What we ended up having was, and actually, you know what, they're even having it in theirs, so that's kind of why he's probably pointing this out, but, like, without saying that, at least in our version, I know it's for true, we didn't have this. So we had this, we have the top like we always do, and that would have always been the 1%. That's why I make fun of people who say that the busters are the 1%, because no, the 1% will always be a whale. It'll always be a whale. And then this, in our version, it was not just a whale, it was probably a whale RMTer. So it wasn't just a whale, it was somebody who was buying hundreds of millions of gold, right? But we won't even get into that. We'll try to stop writing a difference between those two, right? Or, well, I always have a hard time saying that, separating the two. But, so we have our free-to-play players, our average players. Our pool would look similar to this, actually. I think that would be the majority of the players back behind at like 1660. That's very reasonable to 1680, somewhere in this range. And then 1680 would be the elite players that are free-to-play, like really grinding and really working their hearts out. And then, yeah, okay, so we have our whale pool and up, right? But here's the difference, is instead of having a normal whale pool and up, where some of these players carry these players that are on eye level, because they're not really that well geared either. They're not good enough to get into these elite groups. We have a separation, right? And there should probably be one more separation here, which is kind of what he's pointing out, is that these are pseudo whales, right? So if they're pseudo elites, pseudo whales, like we're saying, then that means there should have been another population in the middle here of people who are just a little bit less geared than they are, that blend with this group to make the content a little bit more clearable, if that makes sense. But what but what ended up happening, not just in their version, but our version, was exactly that. Was that we ended up having a population here of like average players, but then we're going to say we actually skipped this normal / little bit of whale population, or just elite grinders, right? Elite players, like actual elite players. I'm going to give them real eliteness, because this isn't even really elite. You're a whale. So it's crazy that he's actually classifying himself as an elite player when I would actually say, no, you're a whale. You're not elite. You're not elite. You're a spender. There's a difference. You're an elite whale, not elite gamer. You're not a gamer. But I mean, he does grind on top of it. It's kind of hard to say that, but it's, I don't know where the fine line is there. But anyways, point being, there should have been a pool of players in between here, and a pool in this pool of players. But instead, what ended up actually happening was we had this pool of players. This pool of players doesn't actually exist, or it's much smaller. And then we had the whales that weren't real whales, but RMTers that made a larger pool at the bottom of the elites, if that makes sense. So the feed of the elites should have only been about 900 players. But instead, the feed of the elites, because of RMTing, ended up being probably like 10, 20, 30,000, right, in average, compared to this. I know we didn't have that many players, but do the percent breakdown, right? Scale it. So it probably had about this. So they had 10, 20, 30,000, which meant there was only about 10,000 players in this pool, and this pool was probably about the same at 40,000 or whatever it is. Does that make sense? So there was less people to interact with this pool, and then again scale it down because we only had like 30,000 players altogether. So you can imagine how that would actually affect us split up amongst the regions, right? But yeah, so that's basically why I actually do love that he's pointing out pseudo elites, because yes, it's exactly what I've been saying for a long time, is that we had a lot of people who didn't belong where they were because they cheated for it essentially, and or put in 80 hours a week to get to it. And you can't consistently do that your whole life unless you're rich, right? So that's the point. That's literally the point, is that people had weird expectations around things, just unrealistic expectations, if I'm being completely honest. So in this, I do agree. That's the one thing I agree in this whole entire video, is that people are just dumb, really. Wait, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Because we are all hard mode raiders. Like, that's where he's being stupid, because you don't have to be a whale to clear. You paid more to be a hard mode raider. That's why. He's just dumb. He's so dumb. It hurts. But either way, I wanted to point out here, though. He keeps saying that they're pretending to be a hard mode raider, and he keeps saying that we're the ones, playing into their game. Isn't he the one now coming to the realization that he spent too much money and it was like 100,000? And he's making fun of people, but he's like that person. Holy man, it's brutal.
Support it by all means, man. But don't complain about it either. Don't complain if you're a hard mode raider and complain about it, please. Right here. Oh man, the gatekeeping is getting hard in hard mode. Then don't complain about it. Don't do hard mode, dude. That's how it's monetized. That's literally the structure of the game. That's literally the business model.